Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are watching. My name is Delvin Wenani, and now today I want to take you through Kcse Biology Paper 1 2023, my second prediction. Remember to follow, remember to subscribe, remember to share so that we can reach as many people as possible. Without wasting much time, let us look at some of the questions that I think that candidates should pay some good attention to as far as Kcse 2023 Biology Paper 1 is concerned. So I'll take you through from question number 1 to the last question. Now, my first question: identify the respiratory surface used by the following organisms. Now, we're talking about the respiratory surfaces used by the following organisms. And the first organism is the locust. Locust. Now, a respiratory surface is part of an organism. We talk about the organ of an organism that aids or assists in the process of gaseous exchange. That's a respiratory surface. So in locust, they use the tracheoles. They use the tracheoles. Number 2 is the paramecium. Now, paramecium is a group of, those are single-celled organisms, and majority of these single-cell organisms, they are also found in areas which are moist, and the reason is because their respiratory surface is actually the cell membrane, and therefore the respiratory gases, when I talk about the respiratory gases, I'm talking about oxygen and carbon dioxide. They move in by diffusion. That is, they move in and out depending on cell physiology known as diffusion. We have another question: name the causative agents of tuberculosis. Name the causative agent of tuberculosis. Now, tuberculosis is caused by a bacterium, and we call it the Mycobacterium tuberculosis or Mycobacterium bovis. That is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. That is the causative agents of tuberculosis, now commonly known as TB. Explain the biological significance of the following. Now, I want to talk about this biological significance of the following. Number 1, the mammalian testes hanging outside the body. Talking about, when you look at the mammalian testes in mammals, you'll see they hang outside. And why? The reason is because they provide, that is, a cool environment, low temperature, that is conducive for what? For production of good quality sperm production. For production of good sperm quality. It can be good, it can be suitable, it can be required. Those are other words that we can use to explain the good conducive environment that is provided for when the testes hang outside the body. Coiled nature of the epididymis. When you look at the epididymis, the structure of the epididymis is highly coiled. Why? The reason is because it increases surface area for sperm storage. Remember, sperms are stored in the epididymis, not permanently, but temporarily stored in the epididymis before they are released, but they are manufactured in the testes. And they also have talking about the breeding season of amphibians coinciding with long rainy season. Now you discover that during the long rainy season, that is when majority of the amphibians, a good example is the frog, that is when they breed. Why? The reason is because the sexual reproduction in frogs requires water. It requires water, and therefore water acts as a what? An aquatic medium. State 2 ways by which plants manage their solid waste. State 2 ways by which plants manage their waste. I'll set more than 2. Number 1, in plants, the waste products are removed by diffusion. And also, apart from that, plants excrete oxygen. Number 2, plants excrete oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis. That's a byproduct of photosynthesis. Now, plants get rid of water by also transpiration. And majority of the waste products in plants are stored in vacuoles or maybe stored in the leaves, which some of the plants, they shed them off, or the leaves definitely, they fall out by themselves. Number 4, state the effect of movement of the diaphragm muscles during inhalation in mammals. State the effect of movement of the diaphragm muscles during inhalation in mammals. Diaphragm muscles contract and flatten, and this one leads to increased volume of the thoracic cavity. Now, in that effect, it causes decreasing, or it causes a decrease in the pressure inside the thoracic. And once the pressure inside the thoracic has dropped, this one will force the air in. The following are text messages on a cell phone that represents gene mutation. Intended message, and then we have the actual message. We have an intended message here, then we have the actual message here. Now, the first statement was, I hate meat. The actual message was supposed to be, I ate meat. Another message, say the second one, is, this is my team. But the actual message is, this is my mate. So the first question, identify the type of gene mutation represented in each case. Talking about gene mutation, look at the first case, I hate meat. And it's the actual message is, I eat. The second one is, this is my team. And the actual message is, this is my mate. So when you look at the first one, it's missing from the intended message to the actual message. There's a H here which is missing, and therefore that is deletion as far as gene mutation is concerned. The second one, this is my team. This is my mate. When you look at the word team, look at this word team, and then you look at the word mate here. They have the same alphabet. But the rearrangement is done. This one is TEM. This one is MATE. So that is inversion. The inversion at that level. Next. Below are diagrams representing developmental stages of 3 different vertebrates. The first one here is fish. We have chicken, and then we have human. Fish, chicken, and human. So the first question, state the evidence of evolution illustrated by vertebrates in the diagrams above. Now, when you look at them, we are comparing the embryos at different stages in human, chicken, and fish. And therefore, that one is known as comparative embryology. Now, suggest why the structure label J has been retained throughout the evolutionary of fish. Now, the structure label J is actually the tail. But when you look at chicken and then you look at human, at the tail end, at the end of the stage, the structure J, which is a tail, tends to disappear. But in fish, it persists. Why? Because in fish, it remains in the aquatic habitat, and that's aqueous medium, and it utilizes that tail as a what? It uses it for movement, for propulsion. So it is still important even at the later stage. Number 7, an individual is of blood group B positive. An individual is of blood group B positive. Question number 1. Name the antigens in the individual's blood group. Name the antigens in the individual's blood group. The antigen that an individual possesses is the one that determines the blood group the person will have. So in this case, we only have two. We have antigen B and then antigen A. If you have antigen A, then you are blood group A. If you have antigen B, then you are blood group B. Now, for this case, because this person is now blood group B, therefore the person will be having antigen B. But because of this positive, there's a positive here. That means in addition to the antigen B, this person has also an added antigen, which we call it antigen D, or what we call the rhesus factor. Give the reason why the individual cannot receive blood from a blood group A donor. Give the reason why the individual cannot receive blood from a blood group A donor. Now, blood group A donor has antigen A, but the same donor has antibody B. Now, the blood group B, who is now in this case the recipient, has antigen B, but has antibody A. Now, the antibody A, which is found in the blood plasma of this individual who has blood group B, will definitely cause a reaction with the antigen A that is present in the donor's blood, because the donor has blood group A. Definitely he has antigen A, but the recipient has antigen B, and therefore he has antibody A in the blood plasma. So if we have antibody A, and then we are receiving from antigen A, it will cause a reaction and that blood will agglutinate. So we are saying, and because of that, he has antibody A in the blood plasma of the recipient, and this one corresponds with antigen A in the donor blood, and hence there will be an agglutination. Question number 8. Color blindness is a sex-linked trait controlled by a recessive gene B. If a mother is a carrier and the father is normal, what is the probability that their son will be colorblind? Show your working. So I want to show your work. I want to show my work. Let me show my working a little bit here. So we have our parental phenotypes. And for this case, we are talking about the mother. And the mother in this case is a carrier. And we're also talking about a father who is normal. So we are talking about, this is our mother and this is our father. So we have their parental genotypes. And for this case, this is the mother, so XX, but it's a carrier. And then we have the father, and the father is normal. The father is normal. So we shall have the gametes. The gametes for this case, we shall have this one. We shall also have this one. We shall also have this. And we shall have that. Now, these gametes, they represent from the parental genotypes. So the offspring shall have first one, this one. So this one is X. Then we shall have the second one. Then we shall have another one. And then we shall have this one. So the first one, this one is a normal female. Second one, this one is a normal male. Look at this one. This one is a carrier female. And then this one is colorblind male. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 1 out of 4 being colorblind, which is approximately 25% chance, which is approximately 25% chance. Question number 9, explain the two roles of diffusion in human beings. Explain the two roles of diffusion in human beings. And the roles are 1, absorption of materials, e.g. diffusion of digested food materials into the bloodstream. Number 1, absorption of materials, e.g. we have the diffusion of digested food materials into the bloodstream. Number 2, gaseous exchange, e.g. carbon dioxide diffuses from the capillaries into the alveoli. Oxygen diffuses from the alveoli to the capillaries. There's also excretion of nitrogenous waste, e.g. urea, which diffuses out of the blood capillaries into the elimination sites. What is meant by each of the following terms? What is meant by each of the following terms? Term number 1 is crinated cell. Crinated cell. So a crinated cell is a shrunk animal cell that has lost water by osmosis. It's a shrunk animal cell that has lost water by osmosis. A flaccid cell is a flabby, shrunk plant cell that has lost water by osmosis. So if it is lost, if it's an animal cell losing, we say it has been crinated. But if it's a plant cell, we say it has become what? Flaccid, has become flaccid. The diagram below illustrates a growing pollen tube, and you can see the pollen tube here. We have 2 of them here, A, and then we have 1 down here, B. First question, name the part labeled B. We're talking about this part, this one down here. Name the part labeled B. Name the part. Now we had looked at B. Therefore, what is B? B is a tube nucleus. B is a tube nucleus. Explain the role of the part labeled A. Explain the role of the part labeled A. One male nucleus fuses with the egg cell to form a zygote, while the other male nucleus fuses with the polar nuclei to form the endosperm. State one function of each of the following parts of a mammalian eye. So we are looking at the eye and the sum of functions of the parts labeled here. Now, first one is the eyelashes. Eyelashes. So what is the function of the eyelashes? The eyelashes trap foreign particles entering the eye. We also accept examples of those foreign particles, such as the dust and small insects. Number 2 is what we call the lacrimal gland. Lacrimal gland. Lacrimal gland produces tears and also produces what are fluid mechanism, which washes foreign particles out of the eye. So I've given an example of foreign particles as dust. So dust will be washed away by this fluid in form of tears. It also has what we call antiseptic properties, which kills pathogen and harmful microorganisms. Give a reason why the image is not formed when the light is focused on the blind spot. This is because it lacks both the cones and the rods. It lacks both the cones and the rods, and hence images are not perceived. Images are not perceived. Why? Because at the blind spot, there's no cones and rods. Define the term field of view as used in microscopy. Define the term field of view as used in microscopy. Field of view is a circular area that is seen when focusing or viewing through the eyepiece of a microscope. Now, with me, this is a microscope. This is a light microscope. When you view, this is the eyepiece. When you place your eye here, you view through it, you'll be able to see a circular area. That is what we call the field of view. That is where the image will be seen. The next question is, state one function of the body tube of a light microscope. Now, this is the body tube. This one here. This is the body tube. There's one here. And you can see it has a revolving nose piece down here. And then it has the objective lenses. And then it has up here, we have the eyepiece lenses. So the major function of this body tube is actually to hold the revolving nose piece and the objective lenses in place, and also to hold the eyepiece lens. So we are saying to hold the revolving nose piece, objective lenses in position, and also hold the circular eyepiece lens in place. How is the human stomach adapted to 1. Protein digestion? How is a human stomach adapted to protein digestion? It has gastric gland that secretes gastric juice. We also accept content of the gastric. If, for example, you give what is secreted, and you give examples like HCl, pepsin, renin, mucus as examples, as well accept. Number 2, the stomach also performs what we call churning of food. So how is it adapted to do this one? It has thick muscular walls that contract and relaxes. When they contract and relaxes, they churn the food, they turn the food, mixing it with the content from the stomach. The diagram below shows a phenomena which occurs during cell division. The diagram below shows a phenomena which occurs during cell division. Identify the stage of cell division in which this phenomena occurs. Identify the cell division in which this phenomena occurs. So this occurs in the process 1 of meiosis. Process 1 of meiosis. But we don't accept meiosis alone. It occurs in process 1 of meiosis 1. Explain the importance of this phenomena taking place in the part labeled B on the diagram. Actually, it is from the diagram. Actually, it is called the crossing over. And therefore, this one helps in what? It allows the exchange of important genetic materials, resulting in what we call genetic variations into genetic variations. These are crossing over. So there will be an exchange of materials. That's why you see we have 2 chromosomes. One is a little bit dark and the other one is lighter. So it's like, that's a place where they will exchange the genetic materials. A wild beast in Masai Mara National Park was found to be infested with a lot of ticks. State a trophic level occupied by the following organisms. Organism number 1, wild beast. So the wild beast, remember the wild beast is being infested on by ticks, but the wild beast feeds on what? It feeds on plants. So it's a primary consumer. A primary consumer. What about the ticks? The ticks are feeding on the primary consumer, which is the wild beast. And therefore they form what? The secondary consumers. They become the secondary consumers. Define seed dormancy. Define seed dormancy. This is a condition. It can be, you can call it a condition or a period of resting during which a viable seed performs its physiological processes. It is slowed down and utilizes the little food. And also you can find that all the environmental conditions are there, but factors for germination are provided, but it is not germinating. The seed is not germinating. State 2 causes of seed dormancy. Number 1, it can be because of an immature embryo. It can also be caused by an impermeable tester. It can also be caused by unfavorable temperatures. It can also be caused by what we call growth inhibitors, inadequate germination enzymes, inadequate light wavelength. Those are just examples of what can cause seed dormancy. Name the type of response exhibited by the following. The responses exhibited by the following. Number 1, a pollen tube growing towards the embryo sac. A pollen tube growing towards the embryo sac. That's a positive chemotaxis. That's a positive chemotaxis. Maggot moving from light side of a box to the dark side of a box. Maggot moving from a light or lit side of a box to the dark side of a box. That is a negative phototaxis. A negative phototaxis. Now the diagram below represents a mammalian bone. That is the bone. You can look at it. This is a bone. Look at it very carefully. The diagram is showing a mammalian bone. First question, identify the bone. Let us look at the bone again. That is the structure of the bone. You can look at it carefully. So, what is the name or what is the identity of this bone? This is a femur. It is a femur. Name the region in the human body where the bone named above is found. Where is it found? The femur is actually found at the upper hind limb, or the thigh region. The thigh region. That is where we have the femur. Name the type of joint formed by the bone at the proximal end. At the proximal end. And that is a ball and socket joint. Ball and socket joint. What is the role of the intervertebral column? What is the role of the intervertebral column? Intervertebral column reduces friction between the vertebrae and also absorbs mechanical shock. Reduces friction, that is between the vertebrae, and also absorbs mechanical shock. It also allows flexibility of the vertebral column, allows flexibility of the vertebral column. Name the hormone that sustains the larval stage in insects and the structure that reduces it. Name the hormone that sustains the larval stage in an insect and the structure that produces it. The hormone is juvenile and it is produced by the corpus allatum or allatum. The hormone is called juvenile hormone and it's produced by a structure known as corpus allatum. The diagram below represents a nephron from a mammalian kidney. This is a nephron, you can look at it. The first question, name the part labeled B and C. B and C. Now, B is a glomerulus. B, this part B here. B is a glomerulus. C is the loop. See, this is the loop of Henle. You can also call it the Henle's loop. Loop of Henle, or you can even call it the Henle's loop. Name the component of blood present in part label B, now the glomerulus, but absent in part label C, loop of Henle. That is plasma proteins or blood cells. So blood cells and plasma proteins, they are absent at part label C, but present at B. State the substances that are reabsorbed at the part labeled W. State the substances that are reabsorbed at the part labeled W. This one here. And these are the glucose, vitamins, amino acids, hormones, and water. Glucose, vitamins, amino acids, hormones, and water. What is glycolysis? What is glycolysis? This is the breakdown of glucose into pyruvic acid. The breakdown of glucose into pyruvic acid. And this happens during respiration. And during that respiration, when glucose is being broken down in absence of oxygen, that is the first stage of that process is known as glycolysis, which is now the breakdown of glucose into pyruvic acid. Where in the cell does it take place? Where in the cell does this take place? It takes place in the cytoplasm. It takes place in the cytoplasm. Now, state how the following parts of the mammalian ear are adapted to their functions. State how the following parts of the mammalian ear are adapted to their functions. The first part is cochlea. Cochlea. Cochlea, it is highly coiled to increase surface area for attachment of sensory cells. Highly coiled to increase surface area for attachment of sensory cells. Or it has systems of canals filled with endolymph and perilymph to absorb mechanical shock. Pinna, the outside pinna, that is the outside part of the ear. Pinna is a funnel-shaped, and the structure of the pinna enables it to collect and direct sound waves into the external auditory meters, or what we call the auditory canal. It's the one that directs sound to the auditory canal, to the middle ear. What are fossils? What are fossils? These are past materials or remains of ancestral forms of organisms that were accidentally preserved in a natural occurring material. These are past materials or remains of ancestral forms of organisms that were accidentally preserved in a naturally occurring material. Name the type of placentation where. Now we're talking about the types of placentation. Name the type of placentation where. 1. Placenta appears as one ridge on the ovary wall. Placenta appears as one ridge on the ovary wall. That is marginal. And this one occurs in beans and peas. So we have the marginal placentation. Number 2, placenta is at the center of the ovary with the ovules on it, and the dividing walls of the carpel disappear. Which one is this? This one definitely is a what? Free central. This one is a free central. Name the cell organelle. Name the cell organelle found in abundance in white blood cell. Name the cell organelle found in abundance in white blood cell. Before you answer this question, you must ask yourself, what is the function of white blood cell? Function of white blood cell is to fight pathogens or fight disease-causing microorganisms. And therefore, it has a lot of issues to do with destruction. Therefore, amongst all the organelles, we look for the organelle that performs functions of destruction of either cell, worn-out organelles, etc. And therefore, this is lysosome. And also, we accept Golgi bodies. Give a reason for your answer in above. The answer is lysosome contain lytic enzymes that destroy pathogen. Lysosome contain lytic enzymes that destroy pathogen. Golgi bodies also form lysosomes, which contain the lytic enzyme to destroy pathogens. In which form do the following organisms excrete their nitrogenous waste? In which form do the following organisms excrete their nitrogenous waste? And the organisms are insects and birds. Insects and birds. So insects excrete through uric acid, and birds, they also excrete through uric acid. What advantage do the insects have by excreting the nitrogenous waste named in A above? What advantage do the insects have by excreting the nitrogenous waste named in A above? And the advantage is uric acid is less toxic and it also uses less water. So, and therefore, excretion consumes little water, and therefore water is what? Water is conserved. Water is conserved. Below is a diagram of a Euclena gracilis. Use it to answer questions that follow. This one is a diagram of a Euclena. Question number 1. Classify the organism into the following taxa. Number 1 is kingdom. It belongs to the kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista. Genus Euclena. Genus Euclena. Name the structure label X. Name the structure label X. The structure is a contractile vacuum. Contractile vacuum. How is the structure Y adapted to its function? How is the structure Y adapted to its function? It contains chlorophyll pigment that trap light energy for photosynthesis. Contain chlorophyll pigments that trap light energy for photosynthesis. So ladies and gentlemen, that one brings us to the end of that revision. It has been a nice time revising with you. I'll be back with more revision, more questions, and more prediction. So stay tuned. Remember to share, remember to subscribe, remember to comment so that we can reach as many people as possible. Otherwise, for now, I'll say thank you very much. Shalom. God bless you.